So, new making-ofs have dropped, this time focusing on the voice acting, but not just 1 but 4 episodes got released in total. Obviously, they represent the most prominent communities, being the German, the Polish, the Russian and the English one. We will talk about all of them, but to have a little structure we will subdivide every language into sections, starting with the German one. We're going to discuss the whole package, not just the voice acting, but also every other detail like NPCs or world building that I deem interesting enough. Without any further ado, let's rock it. As a crowd myself, I really like that they brought back some of the original voice actors. Bodo Henkel as Xardus and Christian Wewerke as the Nameless Hero are too unique to replace. And even though I understand certain decisions like casting younger actors because there might be more on the horizon after the remake, I really appreciate these comebacks. Something I want to mention is that the fans on the official Discord server had the chance to vote for some of the voice actors, giving us a direct chance to influence the game. I have never seen any studio doing something like this, and it shows the developers' dedication to the fans and that they know how important they are to this IP. On top, it is so awesome to finally see some up-to-date interviews with the actors who shaped our childhood. While 2 voice actors were present way back in the original, they also introduced one of the newly cast people for one of the prominent roles. Matthias Keller will replace Uwe Koschel as Diego. Obviously his voice needs getting used to, but I think I like him well enough and he doesn't do a bad job at all. I really hope that we will hear more actors from back in the day, but the sad reality is, and this is true for all different languages, that many of the golden voices of the past have already passed away. Voices that accompanied us through our childhood, that we grew very fond of, and that might even have influenced us and shaped the characters they lent their vocal cords to. To those souls who cannot participate in the remake anymore, rest in peace. You will be missed. With that said, it will be an interesting experience to see some of the old voice actors engaging with completely new ones, and I think that this mixture is the best compromise. A completely new cast would alienate the old fans, but this solution will serve us well. Let's talk about the characters, their designs, and my conclusion. I criticized Xardus' model at first, but seeing him in action, the way he moves and talks, I feel more and more confident about his modern appearance. Then there is Jackal, Thorus, and Herrick. Great models overall. Especially Herrick looks like an insidious dirtbag, and this is just fitting for his attitude towards the hero. We can also get a glimpse at Ian in the old mine, and behind him Santino, one of the merchants underground. Judging by his side profile, he looks pretty on point. Horatio, on the other hand, looks nothing like he was described in how I perceived him. "What does a man like you do on the fields?" he was asked by Lee, and one would expect a well-built and sturdy man with muscles, a grim expression on his face, and an intimidating aura. The remake's Horatio looks like a regular peasant, his facial features too soft and not at all befitting Lee's description. Yet again, we see that different body options would do wonders to the character design, and I am not yet sure if such thing is implemented, although I don't think it will be. Drake is a minor NPC in the old mine, but I think they departed too much from his original design, where he looked like an older guy with a military high and tight haircut. Lee seems to have gotten minor changes to his model, and while I think he still looks too young and inexperienced, I like his model better now. His face is less dirty and some scars were added, emphasizing his past as a general on the king's battlefields. While we criticized Gorn in the past for having a rather slender statue, the close-ups of his face are really good. The intricate details fit very well, and it is amazing to see such an old pixelated but yet iconic face come to life in high definition. A very likable face that evokes a lot of nostalgia. Good job. We also have to talk about the armor once more. While I have my fair share of negative opinions about the proportions, I do have to say that the details are stunning. The shot of the Templar is just magnificent, and I also love the tattoos of the Brotherhood. Every small element of the armor feels palpable, and it seems you could even identify the materials they are made of. In the footage, we can clearly see that we will have much more additional dialogue that will expand the lore, adding to the world building. Very interesting to many of us, but a goldmine for the likes of me who really like to dig deep into Gothic's world, trying to analyze it and squeezing every bit of information out of the game. Simple interactions between NPCs, like when Diego is asking about the nameless hero during the search of the focus, as seen here, go a long way into fleshing out the world. In this shot of the ruined monastery, we once again see a huge plateau in the background, way behind the barrier, where waterfalls empty into the sea. We talked about it in previous videos, and it makes me think about the possibilities of how Alchemia could expand the island of Khorinis in the future, how different zones can be connected, and which new areas might come to life now that we deal with less and less or probably no loading screens at all. Once again, I dream of hidden mountain paths leading into the Valley of Mines in the south and Yarkandar in the north, where we find bandit and orc hideouts, forgotten ruins, caves and lakes. One thing that got me wondering was the scene with the four friends chilling under a canopy at a fire, on what seems to be some type of cliff. This exact location eludes me, but it always had been speculated that the meeting place was in fact the small dale in the Orc territory where we find Diego in Gothic 2. When climbing the rocks there, you will get to an overlook, having a great view of the valley, especially the old camp. That is my best guess on what location we are dealing with here. If you have played the English version of Gothic, you might have had a really fun time, or you had to endure an audio nightmare. In my case, I had mixed feelings about it. I think the main cast was for the most part doing very well, while the other characters had some hilarious voices. Yes, I'm looking at you, Bromore.
Are you the one who runs this place?
I am Bromore, this is my house and these are my girls. I like my girls. And if you like my girls too, then you'll pay for it, 50 gold pieces.
What really stood out to me was the nameless hero who got voiced by Bradley Lavelle. I felt like he was doing an exceptional job because he sounded pretty much like the English version of Christian Wewerka, the German counterpart. Sadly, Lavelle passed away in 2007, and for The Night of the Raven, they already hired a different guy, even though I am not sure about it. The remake, however, got Joseph May for the role, and his performance, from what I could gather in the videos, is not bad at all. Harry Myers has the perfect voice for Xardis, deep and gravelly, yet reserved and wise. Andres Williams as Diego hits the nail on the head with the right amount of smugness and self-confidence radiating his experience. Emma Gregory is the voice actress for Valaya, and Urnaskrok, the first female orc we lay eyes on. A great addition to the cast, I must say. In the very beginning, we can get our first glimpse at Pyrokar and some royal guards before throwing the nameless hero into the barrier. Pyrokar looks way too young in my opinion. Judging by the regular mage robe he is wearing, it could also be an envoy of the High Magician of Fire, someone to deliver the letter on his behalf. However, I think it is not wise to change his age to such a degree, since it lent him a certain gravitas. Here is the purveyor of potions and other goods in the old camp, and the head of the human trafficking operation on Khorinis, Dexter. To be honest, he looks a bit off. I imagined him to be a bit more grumpy and shady looking, giving his arc in the story. Once again, I think his facial features are a bit too soft, and the beard looks kinda weird, I think. Stone, the blacksmith in the inner castle, looks kind of okay, but I don't dig his outfit. I liked him when the only thing he wore was his leathery apron. This played into his mad attitude. At least in the German version, where he seems to be really unstable, mentally speaking.
Verkaufst du Waffen und Rüstungen?
Nur Rüstungen für Gardisten. Und du bist keiner. Also wirst du dir deine Rüstung woanders besorgen müssen. Du Arsch.
Gorim has a very unique face. He doesn't look like anyone we have seen so far. Sure, he looks different than the original, but this time I really enjoy it since the original face felt like it was used very often for the people in the colony. I know that I am a bit inconsistent with my ratings here, but I am just a human after all. Some changes I welcome, others not too much. Fingers is way too young. He has a full head of grey hair in the original, and it kinda served the image of him being a master thief. Maybe they made him younger so he can play a bigger role in the next game when we travel to Carina's city. Canonically, we don't know if he perished in the colony, so maybe he will make his way back to his old colleagues in the sewers of Carina's. Graham, the cartographer of the old camp, has the same vibe as the original design. He's a friendly dude at heart, and his face reflected that even with those old graphics. The remake did a good job here. Lares has a very unique face texture in Gothic 1 and 2, and even though they clearly departed from that face, his redesign is very fitting for our shady scoundrel friend. Still, I am sad that some of those very unique design choices got tossed away for no apparent reason. Urshak, even though we just see his side profile, gives off a very heavy shamanistic vibe. The white face paint and the feathers were also present in the original games, but it looks quite okay. Fletcher is the guard of the arena quarter in the outer ring. He's an alright guy. He never did extort any money of the nameless hero, and he's a quite solid man. So, thumbs up. Good job, Alchemia. And here we have our future water boy Lefty. Yeah, that mug needs to be slugged. Wolf is fine in my opinion. He is always up to help the hero, and his new model reflects that. Hell, even that strand of hair returns. Dusty looks appropriate. He seems to have crawled out of the mines just a minute ago. Now his name makes a lot of sense. The diggers always were the lowest social class in the game, but this time around, those details really emphasize their low status. Literal dirt eater. Right at the start we can hear a lovely tune from Gothic 3, Vista Point. But it seems to be re-recorded, a new version so to speak.
Hi, my name is Joseph May, and I play the nameless hero in Gothic the Remake.
Very excited about that fact, that we might hear some of these iconic tunes earlier already, but as always, they need to fit the context. Some tracks of Gothic 3's soundtrack could work in a few places of the colony, but the overall tone and atmosphere is very different. I don't care if it is one of the songs playing during installation, like a little throwback to the old installer when CDs were still a thing. If it is played in the game's menu, or maybe as an Easter egg, somewhere on a point where we can observe the beautiful vistas of the Valley of Mines, that would actually be really awesome. We can also see a glimpse of what seems to be a cutscene showing Milton and the hero hiding, probably taking place in the 4th chapter when the old mine collapsed and Gomez shuts down the old camp. I wonder if we see more of those in-game cutscenes, because the original basically never took control of the player, which made the game highly interactive. Everything that happens is directly witnessed by you being in character. Even though I cherish the old approach, I am not going to lie, those small scenes could be a daring approach that might pay off. So this shot really got me excited. A dead tree with gibbets and hanged people. A very ominous scenery, and I couldn't figure out where this might be. I thought of the general area near Xardus' tower where the golems used to roam. Then I thought about the area with the footbridge near the new camp, but still wasn't convinced. Well, now my best guess is that this is indeed the new path leading down to the swamp. We had the information for a while now that this location underwent some more or less heavy changes. If you have any guesses, please let me know. The swamp itself looks awesome, and once again it feels like it got expanded quite a bit. Swamp shark hunting might become a real deal this time around. The foliage and trees make it hard to navigate, especially at night. The adobe houses in the new camp got a glow up, now having multiple floors. The cave now looks like a proper city because of this. Here we can see the temple courtyard of the Brotherhood during the daytime, and it is so beautiful. The addition of fortifications in the trees makes so much sense and is a great way to expand the defensive presence of the Templars in the camp. We can also get a glimpse at Iberion preaching while novices are praying in the foreground. The head of the Brotherhood usually never left the temple, something that now has changed apparently. While an argument could be made for his elusiveness, being mysterious and all, I think that this change is for the better. After all, he is the spiritual leader of the faith here. Another interesting bit are the very prominent orcish faces which adorn the walls. I speculated about the structure's origin in past videos, but now it is clear that the temple was created by the orcs, just as it was intended in early design documents of the original. Now we have to talk about the big segment regarding the orcs. It is official, we will be learning the orcish language, and it was specifically created by experts. This is a fantastic callback to the original vision of Gothic. Way back before its release, it was planned to play a part in the story, but ultimately, like so many other things, got cut. Learning new languages is nothing new, albeit it was never done to such extent. The language of the people of Jarkandar was more of a simple gameplay mechanic to consume power-ups, but technically yes, we learned a language before. This opens up so many possibilities to expand on the lore of the orcs, and it is a really fascinating new facet of world building that will surely be used in all coming titles. The guttural sounds, the rough pronunciations are very apt for the orcs. Writing a whole new language for this decades-old franchise shows a lot of dedication. Yet, one thing I don't want to miss: the iconic orcish roars and sounds. We see a lot more named orcs beside Orshak and Tarok, like Umakal, Muk, Krashok, and the aforementioned Urnas Krok. The latter might be the matriarch of the orcish society, holding sway over parts of the culture like a high shaman or priestess. It is safe to say that our time around the orcs will be vastly expanded and a lot of new quests will be implemented, but that is just stating the very obvious. This means that mistakes from the past won't be repeated and the game will be balanced out in terms of quest placement. The original was very front-loaded when it came to side quests, and it already had been confirmed that we will spend more time in later chapters. The little snippet with Velaya is also hinting at somewhat of a quest. Will the women of the colony have more to say and do this time around? Well, they surely will. Many people speculated about this and there were some rumors, but as always, to which extent remains to be seen. In this shot we can see an Ore Baron, presumably Raven, giving orders to some guards, with Thoris and Jackal being part of the group. Little events like this contribute to the overall immersion greatly, and I'm positive that we will learn many things from events like this and get some insights into the life in the colony and the world in general. The first look at Gomez's throne room, and I have to say that this is just way over the top. A pile of ore with thorny vines growing through it? This is just show off and serves absolutely no practical purpose. It is ugly, irritating, and just way too on the nose. Simplicity was always the key to understand Gothic. Ore lamps make just so much more sense than this. Alchemia, please fix. Something more positive is a shot of the ruined monastery and the fact that the famous pillar will now drop into the right direction. Absolute cinema. Going back to the beginning of the episode real quick, I love this shot of the Valley of Mines. I really hope that once the barrier has fallen, we will be able to venture past the mountain ranges, especially southwards. Those snowy peaks would be perfect to explore in Gothic 2's remake. But we will see. And the last shot shows the decrepit old watchtower near Cavalorn's hut, looking absolutely stunning. One last tiny thing that I wanted to point out, and I got excited about it for whatever reason, is that the iconic mysterious _ambient sound that was part of the Orc Territory ambience made a comeback in the remake. We can hear it very, very faintly in the shot with Urshak.
Where you literally can't trust anyone. It's a criminal colony.
Those sounds are absolutely brilliant and contribute so much to the atmosphere. Thank you so much, Mr. Kai Rosenkranz. Very, very nice. Finally, the Polish part of this video. We all know that Gothic is in fact a Polish game, made in Poland, by Poles themselves, and it is of great Polish historical significance. And how to celebrate this beside eating some borscht, kielbasa and bigos? Well, by getting back some of the original voice actors. Jacek Mikolaczak returns as the Nameless Hero, Adam Baumann as Diego and Gomez, and Janusz Wituk as Korkalom and Raven. Wspaniałe! Let's talk about character design. Starting off with Scorpio, I'm a bit on the fence once again. While the original had a really square head and a military buzz cut, the modern approach is once more too soft. I think they should have stayed closer to the original with this one. And there he is, Gomez, once again. I am absolutely not a fan of his redesign. I loved his unique looks in the original, giving off almost hawkish vibes. He's intimidating and in control. His clean-shaven appearance, his smooth mustache, and his vigilant gaze are gone in the remake, and that is really sad. Maybe he will grow on me, but I remain very skeptical. We saw Homer in earlier material, and I really dig his new looks, faithful to the original, but this time in high definition. Baal Taran also makes a quick appearance, one of the emissaries which were sent to the old camp to recruit novices for the Brotherhood. Raven was also one of the first characters to be shown, and even though I wasn't 100% on board back in the day, I kind of like him now. Especially seeing him in action, his movements and facial expressions. Guy looks adequate as well. He is our friendly neighbor, showing us our new abode in the Outer Ring. His messed up beard and overall gaunt appearance make him stand out of the crowd we have seen so far. The problem solver Gravo also received a fair glow-up. I am certain that this character and his role in the old camp will also be expanded, yet I am once again wondering why they changed his age. He was definitely an old man with grey hair, around 60 or 70 years old in the original, but now he looks like he's in his 40s. Up until now, I have to say that I'm fond of all those different faces of the side characters. They all look more or less distinct, adding to the overall immersion. And here we have Sketty, the old meathead, training newcomers in the arena quarter, and he quite literally looks true to his original counterpart. Korkalom is not a new sight to behold, but once again I have to say that he looks too young. I viewed him as somewhat of an older and grumpy, also very fanatical guy, and now he seems to be in his late 30s or early 40s. As the master alchemist of the Brotherhood, I expected a more experienced and wiser look. Bloodwyn, extortion artist extraordinaire, and the camp's bully number one will be a nuisance that we will encounter numerous times. But I have to say that even though he is a loathsome person, I do like his appearance, even though Alchemia thought it was good to give him a beard. In this episode, we don't really see many new places that we have not talked about already, but we get a good shot of Silas Tavern on the lake in the new camp. Senyan is sitting there, but the facial features are obscured by the dim light. This place is much bigger, and I'm not a fan that they have changed the architectural style, but I guess they wanted a more distinct look for the structure in particular, and I can get their reasoning for that. Also, Archolos mentioned? Is it canon already? Oh my god, what a feast! Just like in the other languages, many old voice actors reprise their role here. Peter Ivashenko as the nameless hero, Fedor Sukov as Xardas, in a rather unusual situation of a son taking over the role of his father, namely Sergei Gabrielyan Jr. I like this bit really much since it was a sweet passing of the torch moment where the next generation takes over the duties of the previous one. Ilslam Ganshev and Ivan Zarkov, who is also the director of the recordings, are new to the cast of Gothic, and it must be absolutely awesome to play a role in the game that you loved so dearly as a child. Another interesting bit is how the voices were recorded back in the day. Oftentimes, many of those lines spoken were recorded out of the situational context, so it felt kind of disconnected when listening to, but also for the voice actors recording it. This time around, the studio's directions are way more clear, and context is given to the actors. Overall, the characters sound pretty good, but since I cannot speak Russian or have played the Russian version, I cannot really be the judge about that. One thing that I have noticed is that Xardas' voice is going all in with the acting, becoming very emotional and almost furious. The German and English version of the Necromancer were way more reserved and calm, and I hope this carries over into the remake. Xardas is a very considerate character, and him being so emotionally invested wouldn't fit his role. We also learned from some background dialogue that Milton did a favor for Choristo to get accepted as a novice, but in the original it was him doing a favor for Gomez. I wonder if this change was deliberate or an oversight, since it has minor implications of how the magicians and barons work together, if at all. Theron is a new character introduced in this episode. As a novice of the Brotherhood, he is damn sure involved in some new quests. Torlov, the former captain of a royal vessel and trusty warrior of the new camp, looks battle-hardened, but yet again I must say I always thought he was way older as he is depicted in the remake. Satora's design is simply good, nothing more to add here. I hope he still has his sublime smugness about him that really escalates in Night of the Raven. Baal Parves is finally preaching in the outer ring of the old camp, and we can also see Dusty as one of the listeners, which makes sense because his friend Melvin left some time ago and now he's wondering if he might be better off taking his chances in the swamp camp. Due to this video being focused very much on the actors, not many new locations and things were shown, but we can get a few good looks at certain things. In these shots, we can see statues of the deities. I wonder where this might be, since we never came across a location which represented all gods at the same time. The Adanos statue, for example, is really great looking. Depicted as an old man, it holds a vessel which is obviously representing his connection to water and balance. Innos, with his long blazing beard, holds a huge sword, as he is the incarnation of judgment and righteousness. Beliar holds a skull, and I really hope that he finally embraces his role as the guardian and god of death. He was always meant to be a part of the godly triumvirate, part of the cycle of life, so to speak. Obviously, this changed in Gothic 2 and 3, but I'm glad that Alchemia came around and didn't make him a run-of-the-mill evil villain. A new place in the swamp is shown, but I cannot shake the feeling of that this whole structure looks decrepit and deserted. It might be far out in the swamp, forgotten by the Brotherhood. What happened? It remains to be seen if swamp sharks or other creatures attacked this outpost, or if something more sinister was at play. The footage of the nameless hero approaching the old camp left me in awe. It all looks so grand and imposing, and the small additions like the spikes and the more pronounced defensive ditch are all very fitting. A great picture to end this video. So, this is my observation, my thoughts and feelings about the making of Voiceover episodes. I really enjoyed the additional PR material so far, and it is always a joy to dive right into those videos. I hope we will see at least 1 or 2 more before the game releases. With this said, please let me know what you thought in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Vertigo out.